Hello everyone, and welcome back to Sky Gardens episode number 4. If you're new to this project, this is a project where I built a zoo on top of a huge skyscraper, so this is where the name Sky Gardens come from, and we are already in the 4th episode where we are going to bring in the Giant Anteater. Now, this is going to be a very interesting episode, simply because I'm trying to get the Giant Anteater together with the capuchin monkey we did in the 2nd episode. Now, in case you haven't seen the 2nd episode yet, make sure to see that one as well, and also the 3rd one. I'm going to link them in the description. As always, there's the playlist, but you're going to see this now to the top right card as well. There is the episode number 2 of this habitat, because this is the first part of the habitat. Now, the reason why I wanted to give them together a go is basically because they do share an interspecies bonus, so that means these animals like to be together. However, I can already tell you that I might redo this and will separate the habitats again. Main reason is, for whatever reason, the capuchin monkey decides to run over to the other side. So here's my process of thinking. The idea was to build a shared habitat where on one side of the habitat is a huge focus on climbing, okay? So the one thing we already did in the 2nd episode is the capuchin monkey habitat with a lot of climbing frames, with a lot of enrichment items for the capuchin monkeys. So basically, there is no single need for those animals to go to the other side, because effectively there is nothing that should be of interest for these animals. However, the exact opposite should work for the Giant Anteater. Now, that was a good idea, I guess, but it didn't work. Now, it really is a problem, and I really hope that Frontier is going to investigate into that, because that simply cannot be. You know, these animals should be thriving for fulfillment of their needs. However, the animals just seem to go somewhere and then just decide to stay there. I cannot even tell what exactly is the idea behind this, why the animals go there. So like after an hour of playtime, it changed a little bit. So the animals slowly started to be in the area they are in, and the animals went back to the climbing. But it's, I don't know, it is really a bit weird. So I would have wished that the animals decide upon their requirements where to be in the habitat, and not just like, I think, randomized in the space. I really have no idea. There is no behavior I could see what exactly, just mirrored their behavior. And like I couldn't really see why and what they do because of which reason. It was solely random, I guess, which is a bit of a bummer, because I thought the animals were behaving pretty cool. At least they did in my other projects, and yeah, maybe because I never did a shared habitat, and potentially I shouldn't do this anytime soon again, because it just doesn't really work. Now, I think it's fair to say that, if you put that aside, the habitat still works pretty nicely indeed. So the keepers do their job on both sides of the habitat. It's really easy. They seem to have no issue at all to care for both animals. I thought it would be a bit harder, because the staff member has to go quite a bit around the building to be in the 2nd side of the habitat. But I think it's still okay. Now, again, the idea was to have a shared habitat which is connected by a little thin way at the back side of the habitat, which is not really directly in the vision of people and guests. So for the guests, it almost seems like 2 habitats, but I wanted to make it 1 habitat as for the staff members and for the animals, to make sure that they, at least the Giant Anteaters, have some more room, because they have some more requirement in terms of overall land space, so to say. But I didn't want to waste too much space of my overall given land on top of this skyscraper. So that's the main idea why I wanted to embed this into both areas. Now, again, it really is a bummer that it didn't work out the way I hoped it would. I just leave it as it is for the moment, and I will try to figure out at the very end of the project how to exactly make this work, because in fact it should be very easy to just separate the 2 habitats again, just throw in a barrier in between and create a 2nd door. That's about it, and then both habitats are separated, because okay, the Giant Anteater will definitely complain a bit because it will have 2 less space then, but for the monkeys that should be better, because they finally get back to climbing. I don't know how exactly that could be solved, but I will try to give like a little bit of a forum feedback to Frontier to tackle this topic again, because again, I really think the game deserves so much more praise because of all the great stuff that has been done, but sometimes there's just this little extra mile that is missing, and I feel like this is exactly one of the best examples what we mean by the extra mile. Like, everything works, the game offers nearly unlimited creativity, which is incredible, and the animals, animations and stuff is always so incredibly nicely done. And then all of a sudden there is this little bit of a bummer here. You know, it would be so cool, let alone if they just do what they should do, and that's what I just said. I'm gonna repeat myself here, but it's just climbing where the climbing stuff is and just stay in that area just because the need of climbing is important and has to be filled. And yeah, obviously the animals are annoyed because if they're roaming around here in this area where our staff member is just filling in the termite little hills, you know, then it's yeah, it definitely should be a good area for the Anteater and not for the monkeys. It's weird, but you can see already from the time lapse that there are always the monkeys roaming around. And funny enough, the giant Anteater is only at the other side in the jungle, where basically there's no reason for them to be there because there's not a single enrichment item for them, there's not a single food source, and there's nothing basically that should be of interest from them. This is only designed to still make sure that they have some space, and that's it. Maybe they like to swim, it's too hot, I don't know. It would be great to see exactly what the animals are up for and what they're doing and why they're doing it, to have a bit more control. But, you know, I just want to give, again, a big shout out again to Frontier, because they do tackle these things by giving feedback. So after a pretty significant overhaul of the staff member behavior, which works to a certain extent very, very nicely, at least for me, I have to say they do their jobs a lot better than before, like a lot better. I can just hope that they do the same for the animals in a kind of animal behavior overhaul soon in a free update, because that would be huge, because the behavior is great. I think it's just like, okay, if, you know, I'm a noob, I have no idea what exactly it is, but I gotta say that I think it might just be a value that needs to be changed, okay? So that they just prioritize, for example, climbing more, and then they just are more in the area where there is some climbing for them. I think that should be it. Or just like lower the value of being on a playing ground. I don't know how exactly that works, you know, I'm not a programmer. Maybe if you guys are programmers and you have an idea how that could work, let me know comments down below, because I'm always interested in that. Now, complaining aside, I am a huge fan of this habitat. We did this in a Twitch stream, which was a very fun stream, to be honest. I remember that this was the moment when a little Simsy did a huge raid on me, and god, that was incredible. And then we went over to build llamas with hats in the other park, and that was very fun with a lot of people in the chat, very dynamic, and it had been a lot of fun. So this is why I remember this so exactly, because I've been building a lot in the last couple weeks, so there's quite a lot of content. You guys, by the way, have been commenting a lot lately that there might be a bit too much content out here from my side, and this is simply to, well, you know, this is the situation given, and I'm not here to like say sorry for that, because the cool thing about YouTube is you can decide to watch it yourself or not. You know, it's totally up to you. If you don't have the time, you don't need to watch. That's absolutely up to you. That's totally fine. I just really enjoy doing these videos. Like, that said, you know that sometimes I'm talking about stuff, you know, views and stuff like that. Don't ever think this is because I hate it or whatever. Like, I do enjoy making videos a lot. This is why I do it. There hasn't been a single day in my, let's say, YouTube life where I have done a video even though I didn't enjoy it. It's not gonna happen because it is my hobby. It's not my job, okay? So whenever I don't feel like making a video, I don't do it. I just don't make a video. I have the luxury of not doing it because it's not my job. And so you don't have to be worried at all if, you know, if you see a video, you can trust me that I am enjoying it. And I have to say, this is cool. I'm in a super fortunate situation. I have seen so many people always talking about their creative blocks and, you know, being in a creative down phase or whatever. Now, I think I can totally relate to this if you talk about this being your job and you have to push it out to give, you know, to make money and to, yeah, just survive, to feed your family, whatever. There is a certain difference in doing that as a hobby and doing this as your job. And I gotta say that my biggest fortune in terms of my YouTube stuff is that my creativity is fully displayed in the videos. So this is my outlet, this is my time living my creativity. You know, some people just do music, some people do paint or make some drawings, some other people do sing, whatever. This is their hobby. They do it because they have a certain requirement of doing that to be in a good mood, you know, to make sure that they are really feeling well. It's about their mental well-being. And this is exactly the same for me and YouTube. It might sound weird for some people, but I think this is mainly the reason why I am able to put out so many things related to a creative game. Some people, actually a lot of people commented lately that they are always amazed by how much I put out and how much creativity and stuff. But I think it's kind of unfair if you compare this to people that need to do it. Because again, as I just started my little rant over here, doing stuff for the sake of doing it is never gonna work out the same way as things that you do because you love it. And this totally goes into each other. Even though people who do it for a living love it, okay, they sometimes have this block simply because they must do it, okay? They are not given the time to relax. So for example, if I don't feel like recording, or if I don't feel like doing a video, I just watch a series. I just go out and play football. I just do whatever I want, okay? And there will be times where I'm not going to upload for a week or two because I don't need to. And that is kind of the fortunate situation I'm in. So for everyone out of you guys out there in the comments, don't ever worry about anything if I'm going to complain about stuff or talking about numbers or whatever. This is solely because it's my passion. I want to know stuff. And for those of you who don't know, and also sorry if this is going to be a bit off topic here, for those of you who don't know, I am working as a strategist in a digital environment for an advertising agency. And honestly, this is the main reason, because YouTube and doing YouTube for advertisers is my main job, okay? So this is the reason why I want to understand this always and ever and ever. And since some things don't really apply, that did apply in the past, you're always like, oh god, what is that now? So it's never about my personal problems or whatever. It's mainly my drive to understand things, okay? So surely sometimes there is a bit of frustration in there as well. I'm not gonna lie about this, but it's totally my personal passion, and that is kind of cool too, because I can always use the stuff I do here for my job, which is like a win-win situation. So that said, let's talk the last couple minutes about my build. So you can see that I'm now tackling the inner part of the stuff area. Now, I have to say that I am pretty impressed by how this turned out to be looking, mainly because this is, by the way, I just figured looking at this Anteater because it didn't just want to go over. But I'm just very happy by how the habitat turned out on both sides. The new Anteater habitat is very lush, very overgrown. It's kind of shady in there. We have this wonderful viewer platform which is slightly raised on the left hand side, and we have this bullseye viewing dots on the other side. So it's pretty cool. And then we have this backstage access with a fake door over here. You've seen me using the trash bins, as I always do it, because we do not have curbs yet. But so the people just take this narrow little opening in the middle. And yeah, so you can see this is how this area turned out, and I'm super happy. I hope you guys are too. Now, please let me know in the comments down below if you liked this episode, and as always, let me know if you have any feedback. And as always, also, if you have anything else to add, please do so. Thank you, and goodbye.